because, you know, it matches the vibe. Hello there, Thistledown gang, welcome back to my channel if you've already been here. If not, hi! It is absolutely lovely to have you here. Please stay, by that I mean subscribe. I run this channel, I usually do crafting and or thrifting and things like that. I'm sure you'll find something you like. And I usually go by hedge or moss or thistle or thorn. You know, the whole genderqueer need to pick a name from the mud in the underbrushes. Today is another thrift haul. I know, I just did one, and why another so soon after? Why though, you might ask, and that is because the holidays are coming up, you know, the whole midwinter festivity thing, hence the whole spirit of Christmas past look. And I noticed that a couple of the things that I thrifted would make for a very good themed thrift haul. After cutting the last one short. And here we are. So let's start with what I'm wearing. It's this kind of folksy blouse from some sort of goth brand that I found while I was on a business trip in fact, in Mannheim. It has shirring on the bottom, like on the hem. The rest of the blouse is great, don't get me wrong. And the shirring is nice because it fits quite snugly, but it's also really short and it rides up a lot, and that is kind of annoying. I might have to change something about that, but aside from this is a great basic. Like it is very poofy sleeved and very dramatic, somewhat folksy. You can wear it for your dramatic goth needs, and you can also wear it for cottagecore things, or my general histopunkness. So it was really lovely. I met a lot of colleagues I only knew from video calls, I learned a lot, and went to some sort of workshop conference thingy. And then I had 2 more days that I decided to spend there in a lovely hotel. I love spending time in a hotel once in a while because that's not something I knew a lot growing up. So hotel breakfast is like the height of luxury to me. And also having a hotel bed all for myself, awesome. And I like exploring cities that I do not really know by picking out secondhand stores and then walking there if it is in some sort of walking distance. Most of the thrift stores were kind of disappointing, but they were good like corner points to walk to see the rest of the city while I was doing so. So that is my personal trick there. So if the city is boring, at least I have something at the end of my walk to look forward to. And if the thrift store is boring, I might as well have seen some nice things along the way. But in the end I did find a few things, and one of them was this blouse. And I'm going to continue with 2 of the other things I found, and that is waistcoats, because I do not have enough waistcoats. This one still has the tag in it. It was €4, which is laughably little. While the thrift stores weren't as great as the ones here at home in Hanover, because I'm incredibly spoiled that way, they were quite affordable. So you can clearly see that the university there is mostly law and economics, because they apparently the crowd hasn't picked up on the whole thrifting thing yet, so yeah, great. This one has a little square pattern. Usually not something I go for, but I like pattern matching at the moment, and it has a bit of a 19th century, mid-century vibe, so pick that one up. And also it has a nice lining, which is what will come in handy when I make this smaller. So yeah, do we need? I don't think we need a project counter for this one. It's 2, I think. 3, maybe 3. And the other one is also far too big for me. Very classic, very basic, tweedish type of thing. Also not too large, but I do have an idea how to make it smaller, and it doesn't have as nice of a lining as the other one, so I might have to work around that. Now it would make sense to leave the most festive Yuletide thing for last, but I can't because I want to put it in the background, and it is this absolute unit of a garland. I tried to say something else, but it is just an absolute unit of a garland. It's a cat carrying a Christmas pudding. This is so very stupid and 19th century, and it doesn't get any better than this, honestly. And I already talked to my partner, and he's actually willing to have it somewhere in the flat. I did not expect that. My nest partner is usually not someone for this kind of... I'm not going to put that in the back. Okay, so now that we have the cats parading around in the background with the Christmas pudding, I can continue and of course get snacked. I saw it and I just fell in love, and nobody else wanted this, which is baffling to me because this is fantastic. So another thing I can hang is this open sign. I think the font is kind of boring, but the sign has, you know, it shows promise. It's kind of a shabby chic, somebody painted this so much that the chain doesn't work anymore situation. So I think about making this a sign for the craft room for when I need it to be dark in there and I don't want anyone to come in and spoil some stuff that is photo sensitive. So just making a small Dunkelkammer sign. That's dark room in German. I just like the word Kammer. It's cute. Like in Wunderkammer. The chain situation I didn't even notice until now. So it can't be that important. Like look at this. This is just welded together with paint. I can just crack that. I'll see how it looks in the end, and I'm pretty sure I'll take you along. So the next thing I wanted to say, I started saying this is another stupid little thing, but it is not stupid. I genuinely like the things that I show you. I don't buy them because haha funny. I mean this is great, but part of me just cherishes this kind of weird kitsch, and that is perfectly fine. And these things are not even guilty pleasures to me because I don't feel guilty about that, not at all. So this is a kind of sweater vest kind of thing, open sweater vest, I don't know, with a bit of a bulky color, because the color is just double the knit fabric. And this is actually surprisingly a brand piece. I mean, everything is a brand piece, but this is a recognizable brand. It's Ralph Lauren, which funnily enough is one of the three designers that I somewhat am interested in because I liked what they did in the 90s and 80s. I have no idea what they're doing nowadays, honestly, because I do not follow brands. I just have three that I kind of care about. And by that I mean I usually like things and then notice that it's by this specific designer, and the other ones are McQueen and Westwood, who would have thought. And maybe Laura Ashley. Okay, so I like the color because I am pretty much an autumn type. Usually I'd say wear whatever you want. The typing is not important, but I know that mostly autumnal colors look good on me, and I like that. If it looks good on me, it harmonizes with my skin tone and my natural hair color and my eyes and things like that. And usually that's not a lot of pastels. I have a few pastels that work on me, and this is one of them. I call this lichen green. Not really minty, but a bit more into the yellowish warm spectrum. So I was kind of glad to find this, and I like the cozy vibe it puts out. It's not super flattering, honestly. not at all. I haven't found a flattering way to sell this. So in the next piece I'll show you something I had for over a year, never showed in a thrift haul because, you know, I haven't been making too much videos in the meantime. But I actually bought this on a holiday in Stockholm when I went there last year in October. So this is something I mostly bought for my LARP group. We're playing a Commedia dell'arte like theatre troupe, and this is far more fitting than the old kettle we used for our mercenary group, because it's just these little details that I like a lot, and like the slightly tarnished copper kettle is just perfect, and we even have a tea that we mostly use. It's called, I think it's called Venetian Rose, if you translate it, which is it's mostly a black with rose petals in it. It's quite lovely. So that is where we now make a tea, and it's shiny and nice, and it has this lovely little. And it's been mended, and I don't know, it looks like it has a lot of history, and it's also super pretty, which is why I don't just put it down in the basement with the other LARP kitchen stuff, but rather display it in my room, right next to this sofa actually. Kind of befitting that I just mentioned my pseudo Commedia dell'arte LARP group is that I bought this very lovely blouse with a very stretchy, wow, very stretchy neckline, and it has this frill all around the neckline that reminds me of a Pierrot costume. It has this very big frill in front that honestly in my eyes isn't really necessary. I might actually remove this, so this is another project. But I like the washed out dark. It looks kind of blue by now. I'm looking forward to style this in a fairly theatrical manner. But yeah, more of a Harlequin, Columbina, Pierrot type of dress. And I think this is a great addition to my histopunk wardrobe. Now, to remain in the costumey department, I love ostentatious costume jewellery. And these earrings are a very good example for that. I honestly can say that I do not care for the crowns up there, but I can ignore those. And the thing is, they have clasp backs, I think is what you call them. They're clip-ons. And clip-ons hurt my ears, and I don't like that, and I'm always afraid of losing them. I mean, generally I wear clicker hoops with some sort of pendant on them. So I might actually transform one of those into something I can wear on my clicker hoops, and the other one into a necklace, because I think this, like, the problem is I keep finding things that would look great on chokers, but I usually don't like chokers because they make me feel like I'm choking. But it would be really pretty, so yeah, might do that as a project. I think they're so lovely with the glittery plastic hearts in them, and just very much something I am missing in my wardrobe, like just this aspect of more theatricality. Funnily enough, I bought a pendant that very much matches these earrings, completely independently from them. I'm pretty sure that's glass and not a gem, and the setting isn't gold, it's brass. And I do know that glass jewellery has existed for quite a while, and that it was kind of fashionable actually in the 19th century at some point. If I recall the book, I read that in, I'll put it somewhere. I think it's lovely, it's quite dainty, and while I said I have a problem with chokers, I also often feel like dainty jewellery isn't for me, because I am not a dainty person most of the time. Like, parts of me are dainty, I'm sure, but I do not look it. And also my personality most of the time isn't very dainty, So I'm trying to get that thought out of me. Because I deserve to wear dainty jewelry. I deserve to do everything I want with my body and my looks. So dainty jewelry is just a part of this, and I shouldn't put myself down like that. I have a couple of more dainty pieces that I rarely wear because I feel like I don't deserve them. And that is stupid. That is really stupid and not very nice to myself. So this might be a reminder that it's perfectly okay for me and for everybody else to wear things that are as dainty or as undainty as you want them to be. So speaking of things that are more dainty or less dainty than they might appear at first, this candle holder, which is... Do I need more candle holders? Not really. But this one is lovely, and it's a thistle. I mean, come on, that's a thistle. It's perfect. And it looks quite dainty actually, but it is quite heavy, and it would do substantial damage if I threw it at someone. So it's 2-in-1 use, kind of. I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet, because as I said, I do not use a lot of candle holders, but I actually might use this for jewelry pieces to display them, or actually keep them in mind, because if I do not see them, I forget about them, even though I love them. The whole if you do not remember that you have it, you don't need it thing just really doesn't work with me. But I like this, and it also kind of course reminds me of The Christmas Carol, especially the adaptation, the Sir Pat Stew adaptation. And that's why I included it in my sort of festive haul. Okay, this one is wild with the approaches to things, like in levels of seriousness. I'm sorry. So I used to be massively into fairy tales. And I do not mean as a kid, I do not mean as in a Disney adult or something. I used to be massively into fairy tales. I have a whole board of my bookshelves dedicated to fairy tale and myth. I used to wear things inspired by fairy tales. I printed things that were inspired by fairy tales. One of my school projects when I was about to graduate was about the Beauty and the Beast. Where was I? So there is this film that is a traditional watch with a lot of families, at least in Germany, and I think in some other countries in Europe too. That is usually watched around the holidays, and that is this one. So, funnily enough, I have never watched this. And this is not about hazelnuts either, but it plays into a similar trope, and that is a fairy tale trope that I personally know from Donkey Skin, and it is the nut that contains things, like the nutshell that contains things. And something I found while thrifting, and that alerted the fairy tale connoisseur in me, was this. It is a walnut locket. I've taken out the chain. It used to have a chain, but it was very thin, and I actually needed that for something else, for something filigrane to wear around my neck, because sometimes that only works with a thin, never mind. So this is so very fairy tale coded to me, and at first I thought, I don't know what to do with this, but I'm sure I'll find someone who'll love it. But by now I think it might be kind of a present to myself, because I kind of miss the part of me that was obsessed with fairy tales. Like, I kind of want to get in there again, and explore that more, because it is a connection to my child self. It is a very much a connection to my teenage and early 20s self. And I don't know when I stopped being so interested in that. And honestly, there's not much reason to stop being interested in that. So maybe this is my reminder to do something about that again. This is kind of a weird self-exploratory haul. And of course, it screams, put some sort of miniature something in me. And that brings us to our very, very last bit of thrift treasure, which is this facsimile city map of Hanover from 1907. I do like old maps. I do like old things, if you haven't noticed yet. So Hanover was largely, like a lot, destroyed in the Second World War. And what wasn't destroyed in the Second World War was destroyed in the aftermath when they tried to modernize the city. So that is why I do like things like this old city map, where I can, at least in my head, explore the city as it used to be over 100 years ago. And the really cool thing about this map is that on the back of it, it has kind of a little guide to the city, like with what some services cost, like somebody to carry your luggage, where and when the trains go, and things like regular shows and concerts. And I think that is quite precious, and it allows me a glimpse of at least part of everyday life in turn of the century Hanover that I would otherwise not have. And the thing is, why I put this last, this is what I want you to comment about. I'm thinking about kind of making a explore the city with me with this map video. Just like picking out a place, maybe something that is mentioned on the back, like the concerts that go on, or the museums, and look at what they look like now, and maybe at their history. So I wanted to do these exploration dates anyway, but this might actually be a good starting point. So if you would like that, let me know in the comments. I would really enjoy that, and I might do it either way, but the more you comment about it, the more it stays in my head, and the more motivated I am to actually do it, because that's how people work. So I hope that after editing, this video will actually make sense. I hope you had fun listening to me showing off all of my new treasures. Also, I'm still really just delighted with this garland, and I'll now put it somewhere in the flat. Have a lovely time during the holidays. Even if you don't celebrate them, you'll probably have a few days off, which is great. Have a great midwinter, make it into the brighter part of the year. And yeah, let me know which one of my treasures you liked, because that is why I show them to you, because these treasures. You should comment on my treasures. And yeah, I hope you'll have a great time until we meet again. Bye!